And welcome back to the Splitting Hairs podcast. We're off to a roaring start here. We've been off a few weeks.
I guess I double clicked it or something. Sorry.
It wouldn't be us if the intro didn't get screwed up. That is
exactly.
on brand. We're good.
Yeah, it's all good. But we are happy to be back after a couple week layoff. I know Chad and Dallas, you did a show last week, a fun show. If you haven't checked that out, it was kind of a review of the season up to this point, and it was pretty dang funny. I was in my office laughing like crazy. So
that was a good time. I enjoyed doing that.
Yeah.
Well, good. ADD kids with one that's a CEO or something. At least he can try and
just trying to keep it between the guardrails. You just need tapping it back in one side to the other.
Yes, it was great. And we're joined tonight by a color commentator for the Jackrabbit Radio Network and Jackrabbit legend along the offensive line, Alex Parker. So, Alex, thanks for being here with us tonight.
Appreciate you guys having me. Looking forward to the conversation and getting ready for next weekend.
Perfect. Good. I mean, yeah, in a week we'll know. We will know in a week, fellas. Woo. All right. Before we dive in here, we got to thank our sponsors that have been with us all season here. Cottonwood Coffee and Bistro of Brookings. Again, you guys all know I'm a huge advocate of their breakfast. I love their omelets that are there. Some folks love those plate-sized pancakes. I believe they have a quiche also that's really popular. The chef gets to choose every day. But their coffee is also delicious, as I've mentioned before, too. So stop in and get that next time you're in Brookings, or order it online, or stop at Walmart and pick it up if you're in Minnesota. And if you order it online, cottonwoodcoffee.com, you can use code JI22 for 10% off your order. Also, we got to thank Drake's Place up in Bowdle. Drake's obviously has all sorts of delicious sandwiches, the SDSU themed menu that just is delicious. You know, we've had it at tailgating before, and also all of the drinks that you could need. So next time you're heading out west, whether it's for hunting, to see family, to go to the river, whatever it may be, stop by Drake's in Bowdle. And with that, here we are. It is game week. Heck yeah. What do we know? Chad, what do you know?
I gotta add something to this. I had a coworker pick up some Cottonwood coffee that I'm gonna try and get down to Kyle down in Texas. And it's been sitting in my car, and my car has never smelled so good. Every time I get in, I'm like, oh man, this is just heaven. So you want your car to smell like heaven, get a couple pounds of that Cottonwood coffee and just leave it sitting there. You won't regret it.
Yeah. So with that, good segue, Chad, also to talk about getting coffee to Kyle in Texas, because as you may very well know, we're doing a tailgate before the game. Jackrabbit Illustrated is we're going to be neighbors with JFPA. Alex will talk about that in just a little bit here. But because Cottonwood is helping sponsor, we said, sure, if you want to sell some coffee, give some coffee away at tailgating, heck yeah, why not? So if you're from out of the area and want to pick up some Cottonwood coffee, that'll be available there. And so we do need to run through and thank our sponsors really quick here who are helping put on this tailgate. And again, this is thank you to everyone that has donated and the sponsors for making it happen as well. Start with Dakota Iron, who is a sponsor of the show as well. John and his team dig deeper to help you find solutions there. Alex Holsworth from Holsworth Farms stepped in. He was second to help sponsor. Doesn't have anything to sell you, is what he told us, because he's a farmer right now. But he really wanted to make sure that everyone had a good time at tailgating, so he wanted to sponsor that. Cottonwood Coffee, as we mentioned before, Mike Schaefer's college football prospects. If you're a senior, junior, want to get out there, get recognized, probably even younger, get a hold of Mike, and he'll help you through this recruiting process, which we know can be kind of crazy these days. DeBoer Construction, Mark Hayes, he's done a ton of the dirt work around campus on some of the major buildings, buys some of his equipment at Dakota Iron. And so thank you, DeBoer Construction, for helping sponsor there. Jacobs Construction, Andy Jacobs, he jumped in and wanted to help out. His brother's Matt Jacobs, the strength coach. Finesse and Grind from former Jackrabbit Tolu Ogunrinde. Tolu's going to have some shirts that he's selling down at the tailgate as well. So that's going to be pretty cool.
And I'll have a new lid from him by then too. So
Yeah, good. Blue Tide Car Wash, the best car wash in town, also opening up another one in Sioux Falls. So be on the lookout for that. Our friend of the pod, Rick Jensen, on that one. Again, Drake's Place stepped up. Ernst Capital Group, Chris Dugard stepped up. And, any investing solutions there, stop by Ernst Capital Group and talk to Chris. Another farm stepped up here, Blumenrader Farms. Dion Blumenrader stepped up to help sponsor. Can't sell anything directly probably, but he wanted to be a part of this. Mensch Greenhouse down in the Yankton area, Corey Mensch. So your greenhouse needs, be sure to stop in at Mensch Greenhouse down there. The Kubota Dealers of South Dakota, John Colley, I believe is his last name. Kubota, those nice orange tractors, yard equipment. Kubota, yes, thank you.
There you go.
So that's pretty great there. Thank you. Forrester Distributing out of Brookings. Josiah's Coffee House and Cafe down in Sioux Falls. That's great. Boyce Law Firm from Paul Cheddar. And then President Barry Dunn was our final tailgate sponsor. There's a whole list of donors that we're going to recognize at some point here. There's 62 of you that have contributed to the tailgate. 62. We joked a couple weeks ago, right, on this show when we first announced we were doing this tailgate that we had $500 at the time and we were going to do hot dogs guaranteed. That was our baseline, hot dogs. So now if you come tailgate with us, you'll get brisket, ribs,
caviar,
you'll have the chance, brisket, ribs,
Maine lobster,
burgers,
baked Alaska,
yes. So
Bison Tears beer.
Yeah, right. So we got to take care of our listeners and readers. So be there at 10 o'clock. Okay. If you want to eat, that's when the food's going to get released. Be there at 10 o'clock and we'll do our best. We're hosting a tailgate though. We're not guaranteeing anything, but we're guaranteeing a fun time and a space where you can be with other Jackrabbits. There will also be beverages available served by bartenders there too. So
feel free to come set up by us too. More Jackrabbit fans in one location, the bigger the party.
Yes.
Yep. And Matt, how will people know where we're going to be?
Yes. Once we are set up, our guy is going to get in line at 7, I believe, 6:37, somewhere in there. And he's going to get in and try to find a spot again next to the JFPA as close as we can get. And we will take a picture. It'll be posted on Twitter and on Facebook, our exact location. We're going to be flying the Jackrabbit Illustrated flags. That's what we know right now. That's the best we can do.
Yeah, we can also drop a pin on Google Maps, give you an actual location long. So
sounds good. Alex, what do you got planned for JFPA?
I think just like you guys have been running crazy for the past 10 days since that Montana State game, but we've had a couple guys that have kind of taken the lead on different aspects to it. But like you guys said, trying to at least get Jackrabbits around Jackrabbits. And I've tried to field a lot of conversations and questions about, well, where's the tailgate? How's this going to work? Number one, you're going against NDSU, and we know that they can tailgate, and they are going to be there as soon as possible. So it's going to be just trying to get to the lots, which I think we've kind of discussed a little bit, where it's kind of is at that southwest corner, I think is kind of what we're looking at on the south side, kind of behind where our allotted seats would be, is kind of the hope, is kind of where the JFK was kind of circling in at. Hopefully we can get that lined up. But Kyle Harris has done a great job. He has a connection down there. So we're going to have a plan for about 200 to 250 people, bison, burgers, some ribs, etc. So again, just like you guys, nothing's guaranteed unless you're there when the food's served. So hope to see everybody out there.
Nice. And that, you brought up a good point there about the fact that the Ugly Green team, they show out well. There's lots of people that have been there multiple times for them, unfortunately. They know what to do. They know how to tailgate. They follow their team very, very well. Don't assume that you can roll in and get a decent parking spot to tailgate at 10 o'clock in the morning or something like that. The lot's open, what time? 8?
8, yep.
8 o'clock?
Yep.
So we're gonna have folks in line at least by 7 at the absolute latest. I think maybe even earlier than that. You're gonna need to get there, get lined up, and get ready to go. So we've got a map pulled up for those of you that happen to be watching this on YouTube or Facebook. So we're on the opposite side that we were on. The team is on the opposite sideline that they were on in the spring. That's the side we're going to attempt to tailgate. We're going to try to set up alongside the grass on that side of the stadium there.
Yep.
Right
And,
about where it says "Taste of Mardi Gras Foods,"
yep.
just on that pin there.
And I believe that's over towards, if anybody has a middle school boy like I do, that's right about where actually Dude Perfect, their warehouse is right behind there. So we're real close to that.
Awesome. And we're getting some questions about the FCS Fans Nation group, which we're honored to be a part of and excited to see those guys. Yes, we hope to be close to them as well. There's some talk of collaborating. We know that they're going to have a similar booth set up, a photo booth business owned by Randy Long, where you can stop in and take pictures, in your swag and stuff. So should be pretty fun. Should be a great time.
I think their intent is to be somewhere near us, if
Yep.
possible.
Yep. So sorry to continue on the same line of thinking here. Dustin Helton, the Rev, put a comment up here, and he knows very, very well. Part of Fans Nation, also lives in Texas, has been many, many times. He says NDSU fans will be there in line at 5 a.m., and annually they open the gates early because their lines are so long. So please, let's not sleep on this here. Let's be ready. Let's get this done.
Agreed. In the nights before, right, the Alumni Association events happening, and last I looked, they still are selling tickets for that. I believe it's $22 for all you can eat, a whole hog barbecue, brisket, lots of sides, and then $55, I believe, is for all you can eat and drink. So that's going to be great. Head to the Alumni Association website and purchase your tickets. That you have to purchase a ticket ahead of time for that one. So Garrett Meyer, thanks for the good reminder again. We put this out on social media yesterday or the day before. There's no cash, for parking or in the stadium. You got to have your card or a card of some sort. So, and Garrett doesn't have Venmo, so it's an issue.
Calling you out, dude.
Yeah, calling you out, Garrett. All right, should we transition to the game?
Sure.
All right. Yeah, we don't have any game to review. We already did that. So let's talk just really quick again about Dakota Iron. They're our sponsors for our game preview. And Dakota Iron, again, has sold a lot of the heavy equipment that has been utilized to help do the dirt work on campus and the construction on campus of so many of our great buildings and facilities. And that's pretty incredible. But they also sell smaller equipment that you can use on your farm, ranch. Oh, Garrett, I thought you didn't. Okay, whatever. You can use it on your farm, ranch, whatever, to help feed, to help move snow. I know I could probably use a skid steer at some point to help me move snow because we've been pretty socked this winter up here in Appleton. So, all right, fellas, let's get into this game. Chad, you went back and watched. Dallas, did you get back and watch? I'm sorry.
No, I did not. I did not rewatch this week.
Okay, Alex, have you been able to rewatch?
I did not rewatch it. No.
So
The part I got to rewatch was the bad part, so I'm not going to be a whole lot of help
sure,
either.
no, that's
the important spot. That's what we got to break down here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Alex, let's hear your initial impressions of this one.
So from the first game that they played, I think what I was most surprised at is, so let's back it up. In conversations with the coordinators, each team has a plan going into the game, right? And most of the time, these other teams turn around and they do something totally different, right? So that first script of set of plays that Lujan's coming out with or Jimmy's coming out with, they typically have to go back in and try to readjust what's going on. I think it's credit to SDSU where I thought that NDSU blitzed SDSU more than what SDSU was expecting in the first half. I think there was more blitzes that were coming, and I think that's kind of a sign of respect, I think, because normally NDSU is going to say, all right, we're going to put our 4 guys against your 5 offensive linemen. We'll control the line of scrimmage, but they kind of triggered a little bit more and started bringing some heat, trying to get to, John O'Brien.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was an interesting one-on-one matchup between him and Spencer Wagey, who I think is an outstanding defensive end. But, that matchup right there, but they started bringing some extra players just to really try to rattle SDSU. So from the SDSU offensive standpoint, I think there was that extra blitz factor that Lujan had to kind of readjust for, and that offensive staff had to kind of reconfigure and figure out. On the other side of the ball, I think this has always been the case with NDSU is they do a really good job rotating and changing their personnel, right? from 10 personnel, 11, 12, 13 even, right? They're the ones that, typically have the fullbacks, the tight ends. And being able to recognize that and adjust and go is another big key that I think happened in the first half, to where SDSU was maybe trying to play catch up on the transitions that they were doing and changing out their personnel. And so I think once they settled in and they kind of saw what the game plan was for NDSU, you could see SDSU really start to take off.
Yeah, I'm curious because I think everyone did see in that first matchup, John O'Brien struggled in the first half. Three false starts for sure. There were 2 others on the team, I believe 5 in that first half. How have you seen John O'Brien grow since that game, since that first half? What have you seen from him?
Right,
I'm curious with as an excellent offensive lineman, I'm curious for your perspective on this.
Number one, you can't really mimic or mirror what the Fargo Dome sounds like until you're in the Fargo Dome, right? I mean, that's number one. And so, John O'Brien is an upperclassman, but until you can't hear the snap count, you feel like you're on an island. I still remember in the days that I played, even in the huddle, you couldn't hear the quarterback giving you, the next play. You really couldn't even hear that. And you'd look to your left and your right, and you still couldn't hear the offensive lineman. So again, you were on an island. And I think just in the sense that he walked into, the Fargo Dome and kind of had the Fargo Dome effect hit him, he was able to come back out of that and see that, I thought it was a great comeback for him in the sense that he was able to settle down. He was able to kind of get his feeling back under him and build confidence. Because again, at the end of the game, he was making holes. I mean, he was moving guys around and he was settling the pocket from the right side.
Agreed. That's what I thought in the rewatch as well. Like he looked really good. And I think to Jordan Fink's point here, Jordan says, I feel the second half of the NDSU game in Fargo is when the O-line really started to play to their potential. I think Chris, the mental strength performance coach, Chris Kroc, has talked about a conversation he had with John at halftime to try to figure out what was going on in a very frank conversation. He said he's shared that he spends a lot of time with the offensive line, and I think he has a weekly meeting with John O'Brien. And through that relationship he had already built so quickly, was able to get it kind of figured out, get John in a better spot. Because I think you're right, Alex. I think that Fargo Dome effect maybe got to him a little bit there right away.
Exactly. And and you can't mimic it until you're there. Again, the sidelines, even when you come to the sideline, you don't have a reprieve from the fans, right? Because they have about 5 feet of distance and you're looking straight up and the fans are sitting right behind you, whether it's the 65-year-old old lady that's yelling at you or heckling you to the 8-year-old kid. So you can't really escape it. You just got to embrace it.
I've told this story a couple of times, but I actually got in trouble for laughing. I never beat North Dakota State, and I actually got in trouble. I laughed a little bit on the sideline. We were down by probably two to three scores. At one point in the Fargo Dome, there was a student behind our defensive coordinator, and as he was drawing something up, she was doing a voiceover of directions to get to McDonald's after the game, and I could not keep it together to save my life. Like it's a well-schooled fan base that understands how to get in your head, and they do that. I mean, from the little kids up to the grown-ups. So I wanted to bring it back, though. You talked about kind of the mental chess that goes into this and the adjustments that come off of playing a team twice in a year. And you have to look at, it isn't just like, well, we ran the ball, so we're going to run the ball again and we pounded here. Like, it isn't like that, because you're obviously going to react and you're going to reinforce the areas that maybe you struggled at. So you look at maybe North Dakota State, some of the ways that they were able to have some success passing the ball. So, okay, what do you do there? Do you do that exact same thing again, or you do turn around and you show some of those same looks, but you actually throw some delayed screens or things like that in right behind the line of scrimmage? I mean, there's a lot of different ways to attack this. And then on the flip side, you've got Jimmy, who's got to look at not just say, okay, here's how they beat us. They have to think, okay, how are they going to take that next move and react to that? And then he has to be prepared too.
But you bring up a good point, though, real quick with that, though, on the offensive side, right? NDSU's, pinning their ears back and they're going. When you don't have that half a second to, know the snap count, you're on equal playing footing, right? And when you're the guy that's getting just to run and go, I think on that side, it helps NDSU defensive line. And so, again, getting settled against a team like that is big. But Dallas, you brought up a good point. What are the adjustments? What's the chess match that's going to happen? Again, there's going to be a few players that are no longer on the NDSU football team that had an impact in the last football game that was had. And nobody, again, until you go up against North Dakota State, and any of the defensive players for SDSU will tell you, A gap power is different than normal, C gap power. And until you face that, you don't know what's going to hit you. So SDSU is prepared, right? These are brothers playing against each other that have done it for, the past 15 years at the Division I level. So again, they know what they're going to do. It's just what are the wrinkles that are going to come out this time around.
Yep. I mean, it's run blitzes. It's all the things. I mean, clearly you want to make Cam Miller throw the ball. I mean, that's not a secret. And clearly the furry cows know that anyone's going to try to make him do that. But that's easier said than done. And then on the flip side, we in the first game, I mean, we second half controlled the line of scrimmage. First half had some struggles. Controlled the time of possession well. So I think they're going to have to figure out how to rectify that, because that's obviously the game that they want to play. It's interesting to try to imagine that the back and forth and what their coordinators are trying to maybe schematically do and what they want to try to do differently this time.
Yep. I do want to touch on, Alex brought up the injuries, the number of injuries that NDSU is dealing with right now, and players in the portal. So similar to the first time we played them, Noah Gindorf isn't going to play. They're All-American tight end. They lost their center, Jalen Sundell. He's out. But they have a great backup center. Mason Miller, offensive tackle. Their right tackle is out. Hunter Lupke is out with a shoulder injury. Dom Ganella hit the portal. Kobe Johnson hurt his finger against Incarnate Word, and if it's broken, who knows? Tamarick Williams against in the quarterfinals hurt his ankle, did not play in the semifinals. DJ Hart entered the portal. Raja Nelson, ankle foot, did not play against Incarnate Word. Cole Payton played for a play against Incarnate Word. And some players, though, that they're getting back. Cole Wisniewski, linebacker, did not play. Heck of a player, former safety, just really rangy. I really like Cole as a player. And then Kobe Johnson, he did not play in October, and we just talked about him. And I talked about him a little bit too. Like, he got his chance against Incarnate Word to be a lead dog, and he looked really good. He's a heck of a player. So I don't think just because they've lost some of these other studs that we should really poo-poo them too much. That's for sure.
I said this in the last couple pods, but again, there are no bad players on that team. I mean, their depth is quality depth to the extent that, and I hate praising them. Makes me feel gross. It's essentially FBS type depth, because there's guys that turn down preferred walk-on offers at like MAC schools or whatever to play there, to go and win because of the notoriety that they've had, the success, the winning. So again, that is an absolute next man up type program. I mean, they can just replace.
Yep, and thinking about their defensive line, right? Hey,
there we go.
Down.
She
Perfect. Got it. Oh, I blew that one. Shoot.
That's right. I heard her creeping up behind me. She's been waiting to come in and say horns down.
and hey, we focused a lot on the offensive side of the ball with all those injuries. On defense, the Mostart twins are questionable, right? Eli's missed the whole season, essentially, or since most of the season, with a broken leg. And then Will got hurt in the semifinals. And then Marcus Siegel left the program at corner. And he had a sack and had 4 tackles or so. So he played a big role against us, that Siegel kid did. So then I went back and looked too. I didn't remember this. Chase Norblade and Cale Reeder didn't play in that game.
No, they
Tucker
didn't.
Kraft didn't play. Landon Wolf didn't play. Interesting. So
And Isaiah Davis went out
yeah,
third quarter at some point with a bad shoulder and was in and out that last half.
Yep.
Well, and Matt, you brought up a good point too, the safety side too. So we're looking at the NDSU side, but SDSU Jacks, our safeties have been dinged up all year. We've talked about the Readers and everybody kind of with the shoulder injuries and whatever else is going on. But you're giving those guys 3 weeks, right? So you're going to get hopefully full strength again at the safety position, which again, what did SDSU want to do earlier this year? They wanted to have Stahlberg down at linebacker, but he's had to kind of play that hybrid role of bouncing as needs come up. So now you're going to say, all right, Jack's going to have their full safety group back. You're going to be able to pull Stahlberg back into the box or just outside of that linebacker role. So again, you're bringing a new dynamic to what NDSU did not get to see against us last time. So again, both teams are going to get healthy, so this is going to be a dogfight.
Yeah,
we did our season recap already, so I don't want to drag too much into this, but I'm curious, Alex, could you have guessed in a million years how damn good that all of the linebacker safety hybrids that we had, I mean, the depth, my goodness. I mean, if you would have told me we would have had the injuries that we had, that Bach would go out, that, at this point, Jason Freeman would be the leading tackler on the team. I mean, what a godsend he was. It's been amazing.
Mm-hmm.
When you've heard Jimmy Rogers has always enjoyed those hybrid type of linebackers, right? Those, you can say the rangy guys that are maybe 6'4", but he also likes to bring those safeties that down. They don't have to be, 230 pounds. And so if you can cover from sideline to sideline, it's been great. But yeah, talking about guys stepping up, Tucker Large, right? To be honest, we had enough depth that he probably shouldn't have seen the field this year, but what has he done? He stepped up in a big way and has made a lot of good plays throughout the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a nice young player. You think too, like Matt Durant's, Kobe Huter, the freshman from Colorado, Dante Johnson, right? Like that safety group is loaded with young talent, and thinking about Norblade. I'm really excited I hope that he's healed enough to get back on the field in his last game as a Jackrabbit, because when he's on the field, he's a playmaker. It's just he's been bitten by this injury bug throughout his career, and what a way to send him off. His last game being in Frisco, helping the team win a national championship. So,
Alex, did you think that we would have ended up with this record at the end of the regular season and playoffs? I mean, what did you think we were going to get for? I know we're kind of going back into the past there, but
right.
I'm just curious your take on where you thought we were going to end up at the end of the Missouri Valley Conference season.
I thought trying to replace some of the players that we were going into the season with, it was going to be hard to get through October. And we remember October having two games up in North Dakota. I mean, you had a stretch of, I think it was like 5 games that, you had the rivalry game with USD, NDSU, UND. And in my mind, it's like, well, if they can walk out of there with, 3 out of 4, I think that's really positive. And I don't know where that would have come at. Just again, we all know it. It's nature, it's human nature to slip up for a game, or again, travel is tough. But to get through October, and especially with all those injuries, again, it's been unbelievable to see the next man up mentality. It's from Coach Stig, it's from the coaching staff, it's from Chris Kraft that's been around. I mean, it's the senior-led group. I mean, you talk about guys like Mason McCormick and Mark Gronowski, and these guys that kind of just set the tone, and guys follow. And so I think that's what's unbelievable, is the fact that there's so many upperclassmen that have been there before now, right? It's been funny. I'm going to go off tangent here, but, in the spring of 21, after the semifinal game, Stig gets on the headset with us, and Tyler's talking to him, and he's just talking about, I just start thinking about 2004 when we made that decision to go D1. And then there was a lot of firsts that happened, right? Getting the first win at Division I AA. Then you're getting the first conference championship with the Great West Conference. And then he said, but now we're getting to that point where we've set the expectation. We've been to the semifinals. This is our expectations to get here and to get to the national championship. And that has, trickled down to all those players, and the expectation, you've always had a goal, but now it's the expectation. And so having the senior group, really it starts with Taryn Christian's group about 4 or 5 years ago that got to that next point. And now the Jacks have just been holding steady in this kind of top 4 position. So it's all these guys that have been able to see it, right? And we talked about the reloading from NDSU. SDSU's in that position now, right? And you're not falling off. You're just reloading and bringing back more guys. And it's credit to the coaches bringing in players, but it's also the players sticking around, right? I think the portal thing has been crazy the past 2 years, but being able to keep those kind of guys around, the cornerstones, the pillars, those leaders, and being able to at least, show the younger players and lead the younger players into what's going on. So I think credit to that whole side of the fact that it starts with the senior leadership and being able to now it's the expectation is to be here.
Mm-hmm. That's a great point with how little and maybe even not even appreciated, at least from what I've seen or some of the conversations I've had, for the minimal impact that the portal has had on us. And I get, obviously everybody's excited. They're going to the national title game. But you look at even top-level FBS programs that are going to high-level bowl games, going to the playoffs, all of that, they still lost players. They had people that were curious, that didn't know that they were going to see, how much of the field they were going to see. So they had to go ahead and hit the portal prior so they could get in and get enrolled next semester too. I mean, it is absolutely unprecedented the way that Stig and that staff has kept folks around. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's amazing, and that it speaks volumes to the expectation, the tradition, just the family that they have built there. Very, very cool to see that.
Yep. And I think it's either McFeely with the Fargo Forum or Kolpak, I'm not sure, asked a question in this week's press conference with both coaches about how the teams have been built through the recruit and develop still. I think whoever it was called it like a antique or a dinosaur way of building a team now. And you really look at it and it's pretty neat. The Jacks have Jason Freeman, John O'Brien, and Brian Williams as the three big ones that you'd recognize right away, that have been contributors this year. And, it's the right way, in my opinion, still to build a team.
Matt,
Yep.
you're forgetting how many FBS transfers that Southern Illinois and Missouri State brought in. We have to be concerned about that. You need to be worried.
They're just going to come take over our subdivision and show us what football's all about.
Yep, exactly. So I think that's pretty neat. I know, looking at this year's recruiting class already, UNI has one last season with Theo Day and has been going all in on the transfer portal. They brought in a couple corners again. They brought in a couple wide receivers again. And so you just look at how teams are building. But I think it sure is neat that the Jacks are dealing with the way they've always done it and supplementing in the right way with Freeman and O'Brien and Williams. I don't know if the Jacks are here without John O'Brien, in all honesty. I mean,
huge pickup.
Bo Donald may be able to play that right tackle, but we don't know for sure. John O'Brien, yeah.
No, it can't be understated how much the Jason Freeman's made a difference on the defense. And it didn't sound like maybe even to start the year he was going to see the field. So that's it. What a stud.
Yeah. Yep.
And hey, we got another transfer pickup this week, right? So maybe you can talk about that a little bit, Alex, if you know anything about that.
That's what we're talking about.
Position. Yeah, Blake Peterson. Yeah.
I haven't gotten much of the inside scoop. I do know that. I do remember him out of high school, though. I do. I mean, I remember, hearing about him. I didn't watch any film, of course, but seeing a kid get, bigger scholarships, you start to follow that. But again, going back to that point, though, seeing Jason Freeman come in, the depth that has been built on the defense, and I think you guys have probably talked about that before, but I think that is what has, elevated SDSU over the past few years, is just being able to build that depth. And you start seeing guys, I mean, you've seen, whether it's Cade Trevere or it was Reese Winkman, they've been dinged up, throughout the year. Again, fighters, battlers, whatever you want to call it. But at the end of the day, there's still injuries. Linebacking position, the safety position, again. But the depth that they've been able to build and the high quality players that keep coming in. But again, you're going back to same freshmen, right? And I remember when I played, it used to be talked about that, freshmen and sophomores really weren't going to touch the field at the linebacker position. But now you're starting to see kids, it doesn't matter if you're a senior or a freshman or a transfer, but they're just plug and play guys now. And so it doesn't matter who you are, where you're at, they're stepping in a big way. But on that transfer side, there's still needs, right? I mean, SDSU knew, looking at the offensive line, okay, we have players, but we're going to need to go get another guy, right? And John O'Brien was a unique story. I think, he kind of, put the pads aside or the helmet aside. I think he was going to be done with football and then had this opportunity. Or Jason Freeman, again, thinking that you're going to go get a Brian Williams out of Valdosta State, and then you're going to go find Jason Freeman out of NAIA football. I mean, and they've been contributors all year. So it's, again, then it goes to the NFL side and the portal side. So full circle to that. It's saying, if you're good enough, they'll find you, right? I mean, whether that's for the NFL or you're a high school football player, coaches are going to find you. There's Huddle nowadays. There's these scouts that are, scavenging every college and university, that if you're good enough, Tucker Kraft from small town South Dakota can play at his hometown college school, and he can still be a first, second, third round draft pick.
Yep. No, that is such a sorry, I want to chime in here. That's such a good point. You talk about Freeman, you talk about Williams, like those they came in a different way, but those are the sorts of guys that do well for us. When you look at any recruiting class, we've kind of joked about this when we see guys with 3 stars attached to their name, those aren't the ones I'm paying attention to. Who are the ones that end up excelling in the South Dakota State program? It's guys that have 15 D2 offers, and we're the only FCS offer. There's so many of those. And then Kraft, and obviously you look at Goddard was a walk-on, and there's so many examples like that. It's just the way that they've built this up, as a family, and the way that they coach guys up, that's who tends to succeed here. And actually, let me rewind one more point. I'm going to go back and talk about Peterson here real quick because it was kind of a funny story. I didn't realize he really stands out because he is bright blonde, like absolute bright blonde dude. And I saw that and it jumps out and I didn't think about it. And then one of my former teammates, Rodney Francois, who, by the way, he was one of the giant pictures on the back of Coughlin alumni. He was number 10, played outside linebacker, but he's like, is that Brandon Peterson's kid? I'm like, no, there's no way. And then I look at him like, sure as shit, it is. So I actually played with his dad for a year. I think he was a 5th or a 6th year senior when I was a freshman coming in. So if you saw the picture, Blake posted that he's coming home to play for the first coach he ever met or something like that. And he's got a very young looking Stig holding him. And that probably would have been right about when I was playing is when he would have been born. So very cool. Can't wait to see him come in and add to the chain gang.
That picture's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
Like,
so
what a cool
cool
story.
And then it's funny because like I look at like I only think of Stig as he is now, but I saw that picture. I'm like, oh yeah, that's the guy I played for. It looks just like him.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited to get Peterson. We'll talk more about him when I talk to Bobbitt for the recruiting special in end of January. But he's a kid I'm excited about. He's big. He's physical. You watch his tape at Iowa State, and he was productive down there. So that's for a future episode. But still an exciting news last week that broke for us. So
sorry to derail it a bit.
No. Jordan Fink has a question for Alex. What are your thoughts on Gronowski's leadership and just moxie? He just seems like a guy who gets in the huddle and says, we aren't losing this game, and everyone just believes.
Right. It's a guy that wills it through himself, right? I mean, he's the guy, we've seen it, right? That the quarterback run, he's not taking a knee. He's not sliding, right? And I think, Dallas, even when you play, when you got to see a guy that typically would slide or should slide and going right through a linebacker or going through a safety, that re-energizes you, and that just shows that he's willing to do what's necessary. And again, we had a teammate back when I played, and took a knee at the 2-yard line, right? And it kind of just deflates the play or the drive that happens, and you're like, oh, okay, it deflates it. But when you see a guy like Mark Gronowski get out there, and it doesn't matter if it's the biggest guy on the other side of the line or not, he's going to try to go through him. But agreed. I mean, he has this moxie that says we're going to figure out a way to do it, and he's been outstanding. I mean, whether it's in the run game, whether it's just I actually like seeing him kind of get out of the pocket a little bit and try to throw the ball. I always think that I think he looks really good when he kind of gets his feet moving a little bit and can sail it or just keep it short and tight with some of those tight ends coming underneath. But again, it doesn't matter what you put in front of him. Mark just seems like a guy that's going to take it on full steam ahead.
Mm-hmm.
He also seems like one of those guys that needs to get his first pop of the game to get his juices flowing, to really have his game going. That's what we've said all year. It's like once he gets that first hit, man, then he's on.
Yeah.
So
exactly. So with that, Mark did not have a ton of success in October running the ball. 9 attempts, 25 yards. Long of 14. So during the rewatch, they really bottled him up. They really had a good feel, NDSU did, for when he was going to be running a quarterback power or draw. So that's something that I'm kind of interested in. One thing that I wanted to bring up, as long as we're talking about the offense and just making things happen, the Jacks were really good in that game on 3rd down. I believe they finished 7 for 13. And in the first half, they converted a couple of 3rd and longs, especially in that touchdown drive. They were 8+ yards on those 3rd and longs. In my opinion, the Jacks have to be better on 1st and 2nd down. They have to be more productive in those early downs and not put themselves in 3rd and long. They can't count on NDSU to be that poor on 3rd down again because they just haven't been the rest of this season since that game. So we have to figure out a way to get plus yardage on those early downs, that's for sure.
Some of those 1st and 2nd down struggles can be contributed on there's probably 4 drives in the first half where penalties. Yep. Put him in that kind of shitty position where, I mean, you don't have any great plays, for first and 20, 1st and 25, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't see that happening. I mean, it's going to be a loud environment down there. And I'm curious, I don't know what we think the split's going to be for fans. 60-40, 70-30, something like that?
60-40, I'd say.
60-40. So, I mean, it's going to be loud. They'll be tuned up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and, going back to that point, though, I mean, when you start trying to throw the ball on 1st down, right, we'll call it 50-50. You're either going to catch it or you're not.
Yeah. Yep.
Now you're at 2nd and 10. You're behind the chains, right? You're not staying on cue. And both teams, SDSU and NDSU, what do they want to do? They want to get to 2nd and 7. They want to get to 2nd and 6. They want to be ahead of the chains and just stay on time, right? And so, yeah, fans like to see those, first play of the game, whether either team, right? Are they going to come out and try to throw a shot? Or are they going to be more conservative and say, you know what, let's fall forward for 3 yards. And let's just keep the ball because, again, time of possession is going to be a big piece in this game. But Dallas, you're right. I mean, what happens? We've had a lot of penalties. NDSU game, there was 5 penalties in the first half, not all on first down. But, again, limit the penalties and hopefully just have success on that first down because your playbook widens out quite a bit more when you're staying on time and in possessions where you need to be.
It is. I mean, I like the idea of pounding the ball in the first half, keeping it fairly basic. I mean, their D-line does not have the depth that they've had in years past, and obviously we saw that in the first game, and you've seen it in the second half of some of their other games too. I joked in the Incarnate Word game that they were down by 21 or something, and that's right where they want them because we've seen that show over and over and over again out of the Fargo Dome before. But I mean, I do think we can wear them down. If we can just keep at them. It worries me in this game if we for some reason got down by 2 scores. I think I'd be concerned. Being down, even down by a score at halftime, I'd feel really, really good. Again, just the way that our lines match up.
Mm-hmm. I will say, though, their young pups on the defensive line are playing better. Men's, the defensive end that Mason stole the ball away from on that fumble recovery. The big D tackle, Dutenhofer, I think is his name. He's playing better. Javier Derritt at defensive tackle is finally maybe reaching his potential at that position and really kind of being a playmaker at defensive tackle, which is weird to say. But he's someone that I really wanted in recruiting when we were looking at him, and he chose NDSU over us. And really is, in my opinion, been a disappointment until this season. But he's really, really playing well right now. And if you add in the Mostart twins back into that, I mean, that's a pretty good rotation to defensive tackles again that maybe we haven't seen, in a while for them, at least in the last 3 years or so. I think their D tackles have been down a bit. So that's an interesting thing to just watch because we know Wagey's not coming out of the game, right? Like there's no way he comes out unless his body is just broken. So, and he's going to fight to get back in there.
Well, and real quick to that Mark Gronowski point too. I know there's been a couple of comments coming out. You got to remember it's a full season. They're not going to try to run him early in the season, right? You got to protect some of those assets you have sitting there, and that's the rotation. They have a running back. That's a few different pieces on the offensive side and thinking. But when you get to the playoffs, it's no hold bar now. I mean, let's open it up. We're going to take the best advantage that we can take. And at the end of the day, it's running a quarterback, whether it's SDSU or NDSU, you're adding an additional blocker, right? I mean, it's so much harder to defend that. And that's what, in conversations with the defensive side of the coaches, the toughest thing to do. Holy Cross and Montana State, when you have running quarterbacks that you can fit in additional blockers. So, again, you've seen Mark slowly progress into running the ball more, but I think that's been part of the game plan all season.
You bring up that it's either one of them at the end, you want to run the ball with the quarterback. It was funny, something I never thought of. We did a group podcast with the FCS Fans Nation group that we're a part of, and Matt Frazee was on there, who was their unbiased NDSU admin, and he brought up something that I had never thought of before, that a lot of their fans are not upset, but they gripe because basically Mark is the quarterback that they usually get. And I'd never looked at it that way because it feels great having him, and he is efficient, and he is 16 of 21 for 195 yards and 2 touchdowns and a rushing touchdown. And I mean, just like clockwork, he puts up stats like that and doesn't, and makes great decisions. And apparently that's kind of been behind the scenes, them griping of saying, damn it, that's our guy. That's the sort of stuff we do. And I never noticed that before.
Well, and Mark, what is he? He does what the coach is asking him to do. He manages the game from the offensive standpoint, right? He's not trying to do more. He's got great weapons from the tight end position, the wide receivers, the running back. So again, he has a plethora of options to go to, but he's not trying to do too much, right? He's not necessarily, we haven't seen him really all year try to throw a ball into there where it shouldn't go, right? I mean, he's going through his reads, he's going through the progressions and just getting the ball out there to the playmakers. So, you go back to his moxie, his leadership, he's just doing what he's asked to do, and he's doing it at a high level.
He is, but don't you get the feeling that if we got in a position where he had to throw for 375 and 6 touchdowns, he could do that too? I mean, he's clearly not just a game manager.
I think he could. I really do think he could, but they have, they haven't needed to, right? And so it goes back to what's the need of that game. And again, he hasn't ran the ball as much as maybe 2 years ago, but I think that's part of the game plan. But we've seen it more in the Delaware game, all the way leading through with every other game in the playoffs. But at the end of the day, when you have that kind of weapons out there at any of those roles, I mean, whether you want to say it's the short, intermediate, or long passes, I mean, he's got guys everywhere. So again, just do what the play call is asking for. Don't try to do too much. You don't need to necessarily change it unless you see that, was it Holy Cross or Montana State that went to really wide defensive tackle look, and he comes up, taps the butt, and they just go and get 5-6 yards. That's just him making a quick call. But other than that, he's stuck to what's needed to be done. He does his progressions, and when he needs to run, he's certainly successful with that.
Mm-hmm. And talking just a bit on the play call and just running the play that's called, let's maybe just touch on for a second how excellent Zach Lujan has been in his first year as OC. Maybe you have some thoughts on that you'd like to share.
And you knew I met him when he came in for his recruiting visit. I was just graduating. I was just getting done with the season, but you could just tell. I mean, he just had something about him, right? I mean, but again, SDSU's done a good job finding quarterbacks that are genuine, that are that are going to work hard. They're going to try to get things done. Lujan is part of that. Austin Sumner, the Taryn Christians. You go into Mark Gronowski, but Zach Lujan again jumping into a role. How did he came in being was he a video? I think like the video analyst right away, and then he jumps into the GA role. Then he gets the running back position, quarterback. I mean, so the elevation and expectations have always been pushing him, and I think he's always risen to those expectations the program's had. And so again, Stig, finds the right guys and keeps the right guys around, and so he's done a great job adjusting. I think we saw, in conversations with him, like he'd said, maybe we over prepared a little bit or had too many pieces going into some of these games. The Iowa game, but just keep it simple. And I think we've seen that now as he's just kind of simplified that offense, and really it's just kept it at a high level.
Mm-hmm. While we're talking about Mark, I do want to transition to how different this team could be. So again, those of you that listen know I love recruiting, follow recruiting. The quarterback that we offered first was Cam Miller, and Cam Miller was teammates with AJ Coons. AJ Coons commits. I'm assuming that Cam Miller is going to commit, follow suit. They're high school teammates, best friends. Nope. Cam commits up at NDSU. How different would that be if that hadn't happened? Crazy. And I do want to talk about Cam Miller really quick because he played a great game against us in October. 17 for 22, 2 touchdowns. He was slinging the ball over the field, looking really comfortable. We did hold him on the ground pretty good. 8 rushes for 21 yards and a touchdown. His touchdown run was pretty nice. It was a 6 or 7 yard touchdown that he made a few guys miss. Looked good. And I know a lot of Jackrabbit fans, though, have really been focusing on his game against Incarnate Word and how poor he looked that game. 1 for 12, 5 yards, right? It's been brought up in the press conference. He's 0 for 3 versus, 15. No, whatever. It wasn't good. It was 1 for 12. Anyways.
Either way, it is in no way related to how he will play against us.
Right.
But he ran the ball all over him. And I think we'll see that a bit. Sorry.
What are you talking about? He had 8 rushes for 21 yards against us in October.
No, never mind. Incarnate Word.
He was saying against Incarnate Word, and actually I have no idea what his rushing line was.
It was great. Yeah, thank you, Chad. So he's going to be somewhere in between, right? Like he played his best game of the season against us. He played his worst game last week. I'm just really interested because his favorite target against us in October is gone. DJ Hart, or not DJ. Yeah, DJ Hart. So I'm just really interested to see what happens with him.
Well, I think they're at their best when they can get their run game going. They can get that play action. We saw it. I think Hunter Lipke had that. I think they did play action to him. He comes through the line of scrimmage. They throw it to him. He gets his 20-yard touchdown run. But that's where they're the most successful. And then you pull out Noah Gindorf's not in. Again, that's a high caliber tight end that they like to kind of slip past guys, whether it's on the goal line or it's at the 50-yard line. They like that play action and to try to hit those tight ends or those running backs that are coming out. they don't necessarily have that as much as what they had in the past. So it'll be interesting, but that's their key. That's what they want to do, is establish the run and then get to that play action pass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm interested in this. Scott Russ asked, do you think NDSU will pull out the bag of tricks right away like they did earlier this season? I don't know. Tyler Roll can get kind of creative at times and have some tricky plays. So can we. Not as much this year without Eck, but interesting.
I think you talk about trick plays. I think every team has, a bag of, 10 of them that they've practiced, and they might practice them for 2 or 3 years, right? I think when Eck was here, one of them, he said that they'd been practicing since he walked in the door, and then it finally came out. I don't know which one it was. Obviously, he's had quite a few, but they have it for all those unique situations, and you only get to use it one time, right? And so I'm assuming they each team has a couple of those plays ready to go just in case.
Yeah, awesome. All right, this is a fun one. Again, from Jordan Fink. Also for Alex, how many Red Bulls or espressos does Tyler Merriam drink before a normal game? And how many more for the championship game? Just kidding. I love Tyler, one of the best.
I don't know if I've ever seen him drink a coffee, but I do know he likes his Mountain Dews and he likes his Coke product. So again, he sticks to the pops more so, but he'll certainly be ready to go. But let's talk about Tyler though. Let's talk about a guy that excellent at what he does in his trade, and the prep work he does and the professionalism he carries with it. And again, I was a guy 4 years ago when I got a random call from Tyler saying, "Hey, we got to go out to Youngstown, Ohio, and we need a color commentator. Can you join us?" Sure. But being able to adapt with new guys like myself, and that year I think we had myself, Cam Jones, Ryan McKnight, Mike Struck, who previously did it for many years. We all rotated in, but Tyler still being able to, work seamlessly with anybody. I think it's unbelievable. So maybe it's because of me he's got to drink more Mountain Dew, but never seen him drink the Red Bull or a coffee.
Oh, actually, I'm curious. How did that work? Is that something that you had expressed interest in, or how'd your name come up?
No, so unique relationship between Tyler and I is, my family's from Pierre. He's originally from Pierre, so I got to play sports when I was younger against teams he coached. And so knew him there, and then went to SDSU and was a graduate assistant. So number one, my dad played football in the 80s, and then he was in the athletic department in the 90s. And then I came to SDSU for football, and then right after that was a graduate assistant in the athletics development side, so fundraising. And so got to know Tyler throughout that. Then I made a transition out of the athletics department, but just randomly shot me a call. We've stayed in touch. I stay close to the program, whether it's going to games or JFPA stuff. But anyways, yeah, just shot us a call. They needed some help because Mike Struck, his kids were getting older. And so shot me a call. We tried it for, I think I probably did 2 or 3 games. McKnight did 2 or 3 games. Cam tried it. Cam Jones said, "I'll never do it again." And then Tyler came back the following year. And then I think that was the spring season. And he called me like 2 months before the February start time and said, "Hey, we're in a bind. I need somebody to help me with this." So I jumped in and I did it the full season for the spring season, and I did it for the full season last year.
Well, we're glad you did, man. You do a heck of a job, and
Appreciate
keep it up. Keep it up.
Yeah, with McKnight, I'm just surprised we never got in trouble with the FCC or whatever it is. That takes care of all the button bar stuff. So we're just swearing.
It's it. And it's the things that he comes up with. They had Bo Pelini in town, and Tyler will never forget this story. There was a flag that got thrown, and Ryan, this quick story with it was, Ryan says, "How far away do you think Bo Pelini is, Tyler?" "About 50 yards away." "What do you say?" He goes, "Well, doesn't his face look as red as the Youngstown helmet right now as he's yelling?" So Tyler's not used to that kind of conversation on air, but it's all fun.
Oh, that's good. Hey, and your buddy Thayer Trenhill has brought this up. Can you talk about the championship drive a little bit that JFPA is doing? Thanks, Thayer, for bringing this up.
Yep.
Yeah. So real quick with the JFPA. So the JFPA, Former Players Association, again, talking about McKnight, but let's credit McKnight because he had an idea about 4 or 5 years ago about other programs out there that are trying to help push and elevate and help coaching staffs really kind of move their program in the right direction, find needs. And so Ryan brought this idea up to me, 4 years ago, the JFPA. And so it's been just a kind of a grassroots affair of trying to get people to donate a simple dollar amount, but all proceeds go back to football. Fast forward to the last spring football season with the championship, Thayer Trenhill brought up a really good idea about trying to re-engage people. and it was this championship drive. How can we try to, use this championship run, to help benefit the team as well, maybe going into the following year. And so started trying to push that, and we were able to help, generate quite a bit of money, and talk to Coach Stig about, some needs in the program, finding what's going to help, right? Whether that's, you got to forget that during the spring season, the football program had to pay for the dorms for the kids, the players to stay in over spring breaks. In the summer, right, they have to figure out places for the kids to live. So we have to, try to help get money towards them for that, whether it's new video cameras, right? How much film they watch, help with some of that stuff, or food, just in general, food to help get things going through times that maybe the dorms aren't open to eat. And so this past year, when we got the championship drive going, fundraised, and we were able to, purchase some white helmets for the Jacks. So it's been fun to see them. I think they've had some success. I don't know if you guys have seen, but I think they've kept it on the winning track so far in those white helmets.
I heard that. I think they've done okay.
They've done pretty darn good. So going into this year again, luckily we've had 2 weeks to kind of plan for that. And right now, so far, the championship drive's going awesome. There's been a lot of buy-in for it, and a lot of people have been supporting it. And again, like you guys talk about your sponsors and supporters for the tailgate. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that love SDSU football and love supporting, SDSU in general. So again, to all the sponsors, to all the people that have been, donating and just wanting to be a part of it, appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. If folks do want to donate, how can they to the championship drive?
So you can go on Twitter, we have the JFPA-SDSU. You can find our Twitter handle out there. But out there, we'll have links out there. We have a website for the JFPA, but you'll also see a couple different pieces throughout tweets that have gone out that you can certainly donate. But again, checks, Venmo, it's it's just a free will donation, whether it's $5 or it's $500. It's McKnight and I've always had the idea, 10 dimes make $1, and I think that's been the buy-in that we've had so far, has just been getting people to back the Jacks.
And former players, whether you played if you were in fall camp once or if you played for 6 years, doesn't matter. There is no reason you should not be a part of this. Everything goes to the program. Good way to stay connected. Cool event every year. I'm sure there's more stuff coming down the pipeline. Just make sure you get connected. Help these guys out. Like Alex said, I don't want to reiterate everything here over and over again, but there's a lot of stuff that goes into this. We're not Alabama. There's a lot of different things that need to get paid for. It's not even all cool white helmets. Some of it is just the basic stuff. With the hours that these guys get put in, we need to take care of them. Help them out, join it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And you know what? And Dallas, you brought up a good point. It started with the Jack Rebel former player side of it all. And really, the buy-in and the outreach from even other people, right? Down in Frisco, we had people that saw all the former players that were around. We had some flags out there, and, alumni, friends, family, people, other outside of the football group of people started to donate in too. So again, everybody, we appreciate it. We really do. But again, all the money goes right back to SDSU and kind of the upper needs for what Coach Stiggs deems, needed for the moment or in the future.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, thanks, Alex, for sharing on that, the championship drive. I want to get your insight too on this question. With Goddard playing in the NFL and Tucker Kraft on his way, do you think SDSU is becoming tight end university of the FCS? And this is from YouTube commenter Guard. And we also have to add Zach Hines into that too. He's going to be a preferred free agent, if not a late round draft pick, if he stays in the draft this year. What are your thoughts on that?
Man, I think it certainly helps, right? I think whether it's that, I think even the linebacker position with Roseboom starting to get some, recognition out there. But again, you look at some of these, I always go back to, they'll be able to find you, right? Whether you're getting recruited to go to college or you're going into the NFL, they will find you if you can play. And right now, SDSU has done a really good job, I think, building depth at that tight end position. But having a Goddard, I mean, you start looking at even, Cam Jones had a really good career back in the day, and that's the guy that, was probably the host, probably the host for Dallas Goddard when he came into SDSU. So again, it's just kind of, it creates a step-by-step process. But when you start getting those guys to hit that, look at NDSU, Carson Wentz going, then you get this Trey Lance guy to come through there. I mean, you start seeing some of that success, and kids want to follow that.
And Garrett Meyer says, remember Steve Hayden. Thank you for that, Garrett. Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Colin Cochart played in the league too, in between there. And I have heard incredible things about the 3 freshman tight end that are on the roster this year. Every chance that I get, I kind of check in and just ask how are the freshmen looking. And those 3 have all been mentioned at various times for various reasons. So that's exciting. And the 2 tight ends that we have coming in this recruiting class, The one from Wisconsin won the Art Toon Award, given to the top receiver or tight end in the state of Wisconsin. And so that's pretty awesome. He looks like a stud too. So the one out of Illinois, Antioch, Illinois, looks like a stud. So I'd agree, guard. I think maybe tight end University of the FCS. I know that drives Brendan crazy when we do those tight end U or running back U, whatever. But if it's true, it's true. So.
But to that point, though, how many teams, and I mention it every time I can, is how many teams do you see pull out 13 personnel, 3 tight ends out there on the field,
yes,
right? I mean, so when you're at a limited position, offensive line, there's 5 guys out there, but tight end, some teams, Oklahoma State really doesn't even play with the tight end. But then you have teams like SDSU, NDSU that roll out 12 personnel, 13 personnel. So if you get a chance,
4 personnel, let's go. We're getting invented. It's a thing.
Yep. Why wouldn't you go to a place that utilizes the tight end still? It might be old school, it might be Coach Stiggs' mindset, but at the end of the day, I think it's a value add to have those big guys out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just the matchup problems they create. So yeah. All right, Jesse Royston, what's the chances the Yankees come back? And do you think their decision is based on what happens on Sunday? We'll see. I'd say it's 50-50 at this point, the way it sounded in the press conference. I believe in the quarterfinals, Jaden would not say that it was his last game in Dana J. So, yeah, we'll see. Let's get Tucker involved early on Sunday. Yeah, right?
Let's make it weird. Give him some handoffs.
The crafty sneak, some more of that. Okay. Oh, there's a framed coach art jersey there. Cool. Ryan Drake says, if you ever get to Kunkel's Cafe in Kewanee, Wisconsin, there's a framed coach art jersey. Sweet.
That's up there in Wisconsin. That's a ways away.
Yeah. All right. Anything else, guys? Any last thoughts?
I don't think so.
Surprised Jim Poppins not telling us to wrap it up.
That's true. I mean, and Brendan's not on here. Unlike him, we can actually stick to a schedule.
Shoot. Thank you. Jordan Fink. Jeez. We almost forgot predictions.
Coming in strong. Thanks, man.
Jordan, you're now promoted to podcast producer. Welcome to the team.
Okay. Yeah. I'll see you guys later.
Predictions. Predictions. OD. All right. Score. I'm writing down, creating my chart here. Chad, who's your offensive player of the game?
Mark Gronowski. I think that's easy for me.
Okay. Dallas?
I don't like giving it to the whole O line.
No,
because that is weak. But no, I want to give it to O'Brien.
But you're right though.
No, I want to give it to O'Brien, but I don't know how to prove that it's actually him. We're gonna do it.
We'll see.
O'Brien.
We'll see. All right. I'm gonna go Isaiah then. That's easy for me. So
nice.
All right, Dallas. Defense.
Hold on. We're not letting our guest pick? What the hell?
Right.
I don't know.
Alex, what
kind of guy are you?
We don't really. Sometimes we don't let our guests pick. So I don't know. Alex,
look at who we have.
Do you want to play this or not?
What did we do? Is this some guy off the street?
He knows the team. Let him pick.
Offensive player.
Hey, here's the thing. The great news is Dallas basically. When I was thinking about what is the key to the offensive side, it's the offensive line. Obviously, you want to say that, but it's the O'Brien matchup. I'd like to see because I think. Coaches are going to look at seeing where was the weak point last game, and I think they're going to say, all right, how do we start to overwhelm that right side of the ball? I think it's going to be a different game. O'Brien continues to get confidence, and I think if he can slow up Spencer Wagee, if he can slow up that side and maybe not have a couple false starts, I think he's going to have a big game. But it's controlling the ball. It's running the ball. It's that offensive line. But I think Mark's going to have a big game, though, in general. If we're going to look at stats, it's going to come back to Mark who's going to have a big game.
Okay. Awesome. All right. I'll put you down, Alex, for Mark. All right. Sorry. All right. Dallas, who you got for defense?
I would like to see I'm going to go something in the secondary there. I know it's stereotypical for me to pick a D lineman, but I'm going to go away from that. I want to pick Reese in his last game. Nope, I'm gonna go Freeman because we've been talking about him, And I want to see, and you know what? I'm going to give him a pick 6. Freeman's getting a pick 6. Let's go.
All right, there you go. Another pick 6. He's fast, by the way. That
Yeah,
pick
he
6
is.
against man. All right, Alex, I'll let you go on defense. Who you choosing?
Well, Bach's going to probably have the biggest stat line, is what I would say. But I think the safety position is going to be the difference makers in the game. Again, it's going to happen with they're going to try to run the ball. They're going to need to bring some guys into the box, but they're also going to try to do that play action. We need to have some safety help and being able to really make plays. So it's not going to end up in the stat line, but I'm just going to take the safety position is going to be the keys to the game.
All right. Chad, do you have anything to say to our guest about choosing a whole position group?
Yeah, choosing a position.
We argue about this every week.
Hey, if you listen to post game radio, I pick the O&D line about every week, and it's just rotating.
As you should, to the best athletes on the field.
We all know Reese Winkleman's the best athlete to come out of Marshall.
It is. I should probably change mine to Reese. I feel like such a.
Do you want it? We'll let you.
Nope, I'm going to keep mine.
All right,
I mean,
Chad. What about
I got to
you?
go with Bach. He's
Okay.
he's definitely a difference maker. We saw it in the last game. You know, he had some limited time the game before, and I was talking with someone today, was asking if, you know, maybe he just wasn't quite right or if he was knocking rust off or what. I think he was getting back into it, and it was obvious the last game he wasn't getting back into it no more. That dude's got a step that he's quick, man. He's really quick, and he makes a difference in that backfield.
Yep.
And I think he'll be a big factor.
All right.
In containing the run with Cam Miller. Sorry,
Cam Jones.
Right.
Yeah. No.
I'm sure Cam Jones could run the ball really well if he wanted to.
Yeah. You know, I'll take Reese, and he just had a birthday. I believe.
Yes.
I think 30 years old.
Allison will be
Finally.
I was
happy.
like, is he 40 now? Or
And did you see
I
that
think he's
picture?
40.
Did you see that picture Allison posted? Reese is in fishing gear. He's
Yeah.
or waders. He's out fishing, drinking a Mick Golden, you know, an old man beer. So it's just perfect. So it's pretty dang funny. And she wished, you know, my happy birthday at national championship and to get a job, I believe is what the post
That's what
said.
she said. Yeah, get a job.
Alex, I've joked for 2 years that I'm pretty sure I played with Reese. I don't remember, but it feels he's been around. We've been talking about it for so long.
Oh gosh, so funny. All right, scores. I'm thinking 28-24. I'm thinking a close game, 28-24.
That's what I had.
That's about where I was too.
Hold on. Oh, I'm pulling up.
21.
I'm sorry. I feel I can't keep that. So now I got to pull up average points and against for both teams here. Try to make a good prediction. Let's make it a little wider here. We're going to go 31-23. Good guys. I don't know how you get to 23 points, but it's possible. That's what they're getting.
All right, Alex, you want to sit this one out, or you want to choose?
I'm thinking I'm right on line with Dallas again. I think whoever can get to 30 is going to win. I don't know what the other score is going to be, but again, it comes back to what are they going to do to, you know, in this game? They're going to try to control the ball, but we also have seen both those teams try to throw it too. And if they start having success with that, it could get out of hand. Either way, SDSU could score a couple quick touchdowns. So I think whoever can get to 30 points will be in a good position.
Okay.
I'm seeing some Yankees streaking down the middle of the field on play action. I'm going to lose my mind. Oh, I can't wait for this. When do we get to leave? When is this?
I know we have to get through one more blizzard. One more blizzard. Then we
Yeah,
can
one
leave.
more blizzard and then 2 days. So, because it'll be
goodness.
Monday, Tuesday, blizzard, Thursday, or Wednesday, Thursday. So
Yeah.
I hope you're not flying Southwest, fellas, because I'm rolling the dice.
Oh, it's good now, isn't it? It's
think it
good. All right. We've kept you longer than normal, but this was a hell of a time. Alex, thank you for joining us.
Thank you,
really
Alex.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. It was fun. It was fun to talk football, and it's exciting. It's an exciting time for SDSU and the Jacks and Coach Stig and his team.
Yep.
Now, do you get to walk through the tailgate at all, or are you just straight to the stadium, straight business? What's your plan?
I'm going to have fun. It'll be again JFPA. Hopefully, we're going to have a meetup spot Saturday night, and then Sunday we're going to get to tailgate. And Tyler likes to do a little breakfast at a local restaurant, but I might have to forego that to come hang with the people, is what I'm thinking, and then head in there. But we'll start we'll start our pregame 2 hours before, and hopefully at the end of it all, we'll get to hang out and be on the field and have some fun.
Nice. I hope I get to meet you in person. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, guys, for having me on. It's been fun.
Yeah, awesome. With that, we have our normal content throughout the week, a couple different blogs. B Team's going to be on Tuesday. It sure sounds like Kyle and Stacker are getting together for a show at some point this week. So lots of content for your drive down to Frisco, hopefully. Or your flight, whatever it is. And with that, go big, go blue,
Go Jacks, buddy.
Yes.